NSC Inspection and Regulatory Team, Ms. Vishali Babu, CEO ICCL and Team ICCL, Mr. Tushar Vijeta Rohana, and Mr. Sandeep Sharma ji from Regulatory and Inspection Team, Mr. Sundarajan and Mr. Gitesh from MCX Clearing for attending our CPI joint program on segregation of clients' collateral and allocations. We did this program earlier also on last Monday, and in the earlier phases of implementation of this segregation circular for our members in May and August. To start with and to highlight why there was a need and nucleus of this segregation and allocation of circular, the regulator had come out with the framework for segregation and monitoring of collateral at clients level amidst instances of misuse of clients' collateral by some of the trading members. Such misuse was exposed especially in the aftermath of Karvi stock broking scam, where the shares of the clients were pledged illegally as collateral against the loan. Therefore, segregation of clients' collateral was implemented, which will safeguard the collaterals from misuse by trading or clearing members. So the structure of today's webinar is, we did it last time also, and we wanted it to repeat it because many of the members were left last time also. The structure of the webinar is that we'll hear from Mr. Josefa from NCL and Ms. Vishali from the team of ICCL, and Mr. Gitesh will address from the MCX and will give us brief about this circular. And from Renu ma'am and Sandeep ji and regulatory team of BSE, what is expected from us as a member by regulator and first level regulator, our exchanges. Then few issues highlighted by our members, which are compiled by our team, and my colleague Mr. Ajay Gar, supported by Mr. Varinder Mansukhani, will take up the issues with the team of CCs. I request Mr. Josefa to please explain us and our members the main points of the circular. Mr. Josefa. So I'll request ma'am, you can start with Ms. Vishali Babu. Yeah.
Yes, I think Josefa is caught up on his network. So good evening, everyone. So as we know, this circular is talking about segregation, and of course, this is something action expected from the client, and then the monitoring part, which is more of an R point kind of a thing of the collateral at the client level. I think the big mind change difference is that we are moving from the concept of the CM or TM to the client level. And at the outset, all of us know that it has been done in the interests of all the retail players, as well as all the basically good transparency and visibility of the collateral. And this being said, of course, it is a sea change with respect to the way we were been operating all throughout the years. And it is, let me be very upfront and frank with you, this is going to be a little painful. This is an exercise. But having said that, it's an exercise which we all need to do in the interest of the final beneficiary effect. Actually, I have my colleagues Vicheta and Rohana with me. And maybe, Jita, if you can just highlight few of the 4 points which you think that are very important, how it is going to change the life of our members, basically. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. One second. So basically, what we expect from the market is whatever, like before trading, allocation has to be done. So because from the operations point of view, clearing member has to see that all allocation is done at the client level so that there is no shortage, because ultimately this intraday, because right now the monitoring is at end of day short allocation level, where any shortage, the respective compliance and inspection team is monitoring for penalty waivers. So from February 1, which is as of now the date, so intraday, we are going to monitor intraday short allocation. So from the operations point of view, we are going to give random snapshots at intraday akin to our peak margin framework to the members for the information, which at that random interval members will come to know what is their short allocation at that time. But the main crux is the allocation has to be done before the trade. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to add to what Vijeta said, see, basically, when the framework is been given by SEBI, which is all debated, discussed with all the market intermediaries, we are looking at that each and every of our member gives it, as Vijeta said, at client level. And second point to remember, we are going to make your life comfortable by supporting or giving you the snapshots, as she said, so that you are able to have the good visibility as to this is the level of margin that you are there and this is what you are expected to keep, so that the ultimate aim is that at the end of the day, we do not have any kind of a shortages, and where the money is coming from is also visible to the CC very clearly. So these are the top-notch 3 points, the way we see it. And we are more than happy to take on all typical technical questions which you want us to clarify, basically. Narendraji, is this good, or do
Yeah,
you want
thank you.
us to go into deep? We can get into the deep technicalities.
No, it's fine. To start with, I think this is fine. This is just an introductory for the circular. I'll request Mr. Sundarajan from MCX or Mr. Gitesh, if he's there, to speak about this circular and how it is going to impact the members who are trading in the commodity side also, and the
Yes.
interoperability, how we are going to do it. Our API is ready. Mr. Sundarajan.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. The circular implementation already, this is for all the segment is the same. Exchange as currently we are giving snapshot, same way it will be given. Only thing is how ICCL representative told, the allocation has to be made in before the trading is starting. That will ensure that the client has enough margin. And interoperability in MCX is operating only in the commodity segment. There is no interoperable situation here. But at the same time, whatever excess collateral lying with other clearing corporation will be treated for reporting purpose, sort allocation purpose. So currently what we are doing, like we are checking with other clearing corporation if member is having a excess collateral, unutilized collateral, that is getting covered. And as far as API part, because of this is on the intraday basis, API part, as everyone knows, we are going for a change in the trading and clearing system. So currently we are going to continue to have only the file upload system. Maybe by once we start with TCS, we will switch over to API. Currently, we will not immediately on February and all, we will not have any API. That is one, as we know that a lot of members last 15-20 days talking about API, because we have given the requirement, but we have given the requirement to TCS, not to 63 Moon, because we can't give the requirement for two vendors and getting it done. So in CDP, that is TCS system, it will get implemented.
So Soundarajan ji, at this point,
Yes.
I'd like to take up a common concern of the members.
Yes.
Because earlier it was a EOD allocation. So if we had received the funds anytime during the day and we allocated by the end of the day, there was no penalty scenario. Today, if the client is going to give me funds real time through a payment gateway, unless I allocate it in MCX, I cannot let the client trade. And because you don't have an API, there is no way a front office vendor can actually push in that information. The only source of pushing such information is via a file upload process. Now that file upload process, unless there is an API, how do you push that file? It becomes a manual task.
Yes, we understand that it is a time consuming process, and it may happen that client would have traded, but file is not getting uploaded.
No, so we cannot actually let the client trade. And the problem today is from a payment gateway, while we can identify what segment the client wants to trade in as a part of the request, we cannot actually, we will automate the rest of the piece for NCL, ICCL because they are giving APIs. But now if the client has given money in MCX and it cannot be automated, the payment gateway transactions will all get haywire, because I will not know what transaction I need to process via the API and what way has to be uploaded manually through a batch file, so to say. And in such a situation, trading specifically at MCX will become even more complex as compared to any other segment. In fact, there are many questions which I think Ajay ji will be taking up. From an operational standpoint, while we understand you have certain constraints, you have to, suggest us some solutions in practice, how we can go about solving those problems. I mean, we understand you have certain limitations, but then what you can do best, that also you will have to highlight and clarify to members, that what is at best possible from your end. The related questions will come to you as Ajay ji goes in. I will intervene, but you have to seriously, let us know how you think we should solve for this problem. So one of the reasons why members have been asking you, as you mentioned, last 15 days a lot for API, this is the background. But now, if you are saying it is not possible today, what is the solution and workaround which you are proposing for members to follow?
Yes, we will take up Ajay's question, then we will come to this. As I already told, see, immediately we are not moving to TCS system till the time it is only solution is file upload. Anyway, internally we will discuss and come back what else we can do.
So before Ajay can take it, I request NCL team, Mr. Sijo is there, if Josefa ji is not there, to just give us the introduction about the circular. Sijo, if you are there. Anyone from NCL? Ajay ji, you can start. You can take up the questions and issues.
Yeah, very good evening, everyone. This is the second webinar on segregation of client asset and allocation. First, weeks back on 16 Jan, we conducted where a lot of queries has been raised and with an NCL. And today we do have even M6 Clearing Corporation and as well as ICCL. So we can just see whether are we in line with all the clearing corporations are in line with all what we discussed, and certain clarification is required. Narendra, I think the participation from NCL is also required if Mr. Zofa or Mr. Shijo is there, because a lot of things they committed and we want to know the status. If someone from NCL is there.
I saw him. Yeah, he's there only. He is already logged in. Sijo, are you there?
Because most of the points.
He's there. I can see him. I can see him. Ajay ji, you go ahead and I'll call him also.
Okay. So I would straight away come to the points. So first point was related to the API benefit in allocation. So we have been clarified that for the stocks which are sold, the margin on that can be reported with the reason code 02 by T+4 day. So this thing is okay. But the 1B point is like if clients sell the stocks and buy another stock in lieu of that, and EPI is done EOD. So how the allocation would happen? The 80% of the allocation can be done for the span reporting point of view. So we have been told that the broker has to allocate money. So currently the front offices are not supporting the allocation of money on the basis of trade. So what we want is that a reason code should be provided against that, so that 80% of the allocation can be done through reason code.
Just as a upfront, so what happens is we have discussed many issues with NCL team, and the notes are mentioned there. So in case ICCL or MCCL has any different opinion on any of the items, you can please let us know that this is not in sync with your view. Otherwise, we'll, for sake of saving time, not go on issues which are already decided. And if you are also in concurrence, like point one, that there is no problem if we do allocation at the end of the day after doing API for sale transactions. I mean, if there is a variation, ICCL team or M6CCL team can just let us know that there is a variation. Otherwise, we'll assume this is fine at the other CCs also.
So this is Roanna here from ICCL.
Yes, ma'am.
With regards to the EPI, you need to do the EPI before end of day for any sale transaction. So we are in agreement on that point with NCL.
Okay. So now the other related question is point 1B, which Ajay is raising, that if we do a sell transaction and the EPI is done in the evening, can we allocate 80% of that in the morning itself? Supposing at 10 a.m. the client has sold at 10:05, I can allocate 80% of that, and the client can buy the securities, whereas the EPI will happen at 4 p.m., 5 p.m., whatever is the time, or the EPI needs to be done at 10:02 first to be able to upload at 10:05.
Anyone from NCL or ICCL can respond to this.
Or Sandeep ji is there from compliance from the exchange.
Yeah. So we have Ms. Renu Bandari also. Rishant, please unmute her. She's already there. She can answer to this issue.
Client can buy securities against that or can take position into F&O. So 1B and 1C points relates to that. So there are two challenges, like if the broker allocates, so the front office currently the systems are not providing this kind of facility of allocation because the trading system provides the limit automatically. So so how the allocation would happen, or if it can be done through reason code, then things would be much more easier.
Hello. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. I'm Sandeep Sharma. So we still feel that some sort of confirmation on API should come first from clearing corporation before allowing 80% limit.
So Sandeep ji, are you saying that if the client sells at 10 a.m., I cannot allow him to buy stock till the EPI cycle is completed for the client shares?
Yes, it's not about completion, but some sort of confirmation should come at least from clearing corporation.
No, so which means today what happens is typically a client does a CNC, as it is normally called. He sells 100 shares of Reliance and wants to buy 100 shares of SBI. He sells 100 shares. He does EPI at 4 p.m. or if we have POA, we do it later. And he's still able to buy the 100 shares of Reliance. So what you are saying, going forward, this will not be possible. This is your opinion in terms of, yeah, Renu ma'am, please come. No, ma'am. Unmute.
I think she's unable to unmute because it was restricted from
We are getting
unmute.
it.
So I gave you an
We are
update.
getting-
Acha,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Now she can do. Yeah, thank you, Renuman. You can respond to this. You can respond.
मैडम आपकी आवाज बहुत कम आ रही है, प्लीज.
There seems to be
Can't
some
hear
problem. There seems to be some problem. I'll answer this particular question. As in last meeting also we have raised this particular point where can trading member give 80% credit to early paying credit for sale of 80% to another position where client can buy onto that 80% value. So if early paying is done before giving this 80% allocation, and member has allocated 80% to that particular client post confirmation of EPI, then they can do it. But if client has sold the securities in the morning and EPI is done end of the day, that is not allowed, because the main envisaging of our circular is member has to do the EPI. Post successful EPI of the securities, member can allocate that 80% from his own funds, and post which they can allow the client to trade with that particular exposure.
No, even in this case, the member fund would be used because the payout will come on T+2 or T+1 day. We are just talking of the penalty, like it can be converted through the reason code, because the stock is already lying in brokers either POA account or the EDIS has been taken. So in any way, by the evening EPI would be done. And even in today's scenario, the broker's funds is utilized. So we just want that if the EPI is done in the evening, then it should be catered through a reason code just to avoid penalties.
As of now, there is no such reason code as prescribed by CC. But however, the envisaging of this particular circular which we have issued while implementation of upfront margin verification, we have clearly specified that EPI has to be successful, and post which an entry has to be passed on the client ledger and benefit can be given.
Because Mansukani ji, if you remember, everyone, in fact, Padma ji and Ajay ji, we issued way back this circular, the FAQ which was issued, when we said if the EPI has been accepted, then only further exposure can be given. So actually, it is not new. It was clarified in the circular itself, which said that if you are doing EPI against the sale transaction, then only further exposure can be given after the successful API. So successful API means that if it is accepted by CC, it was written in the FAQ also.
No, but ma'am, it would be a great inconvenience to the clients because the stock is lying with the customer and is selling it and wants to buy, and broker is ready to deploy their own fund.
I agree. Ajay ji, if you remember, in fact, in 2020, when this upfront margin, etc. came in and pledge repledge came, then we discussed that whether the securities which are lying with the brokers as EPI, it is lying in the pool account or given to CC as EPI, should be considered for margin, like it used to be earlier. But it was not agreed. Why? Because all shares only under pledge repledge can only be considered as margin. So therefore, because members had this problem, because client has sold and there is an amount which is due to be received, and member can give his own fund for further margin purpose, etc. So it was agreed that it has to be EPI. After successful EPI only, the further exposure can be given.
Suppose it is after blocking.
The CUSA stock, we will have an issue, because supposing a client has a debit of 1 lakh and I am selling stock of which was lying in CUSA for 2 lakhs. I will not, even after selling that stock, and even though it is with me, I will not be able to give him that limit.
Sorry? आपकी आवाज कट रही है मनसुखानी जी.
I am saying, madam, this issue will then arise for KUSA stock also. Supposing client had a debit of 1 lakh and he sold,
No,
he had 2
KUSA.
lakhs of stock with me, and he sells that. Can I let him trade against the 1 lakh extra stock, or even that I cannot let him do?
No. KUSA shares also, as soon as client is in credit, we need to give back those shares, and then we can take those shares as pledge repledge. Now, you know, even the 31st March circular, which is to be implemented for KUSA, it says that all the securities which are lying in the client account under KUSA, which means under block of KUSA, will not be considered as margin.
I am saying by default it is not considered as margin, but when I have sold, for example, he had a 1 lakh debit and 2 lakh stock in KUSA, and I have sold that 2 lakh worth of stock. Now, the moment I sell, because that is stock with me, can I give him that 1 lakh extra limit, or I cannot give that extra limit also till the chain is completed for that, even if the stock is with me under KUSA?
No. See, actually, Mansukhani ji, one is that this KUSA shares, etc., are against the debit obligation anyway. So, debit obligation ke against, if you sell it, there is no further credit which is going.
मैडम कभी भी ऐसा नहीं होता ना 1 लाख का डेबिट हो तो मैं 1 लाख
Shares
का
are lying in
stock
KUSA
I
against the
always-
debit balances.
I always over retain some stock in KUSA. Na? I will not retain 1 lakh stock against 1 lakh debit. I will over retain always.
You have
some.
to, for KUSA, for no, so whatever shares have been extra, those needs to be given back, and it has to come under pledge repledge. It cannot be the shares which you are actually allocating. You are saying that against EPI, it is considered KUSA shares are always for the debit.
Sir, for extra securities, you can always do the EPI, you know. Even currently, if you are
I
selling
request all others to please mute themselves.
if you are
Galaxy A20, there is a voice coming in. Please mute yourself. Sandeep ji, yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, if currently you are selling any securities from KUSA account, you are doing EPI, right?
Correct. But not at that very moment. Na? So the problem is if I sell.
Sir, that is the point. Sir, that is the point. Now you have to do EPI on a real-time basis, and we request CC to confirm if they have any mechanism to confirm, you know, success information to trading member on a real-time basis. So on that success point, that success file, that success information will have time spent, right? So that way you can substantiate that you have received the success intimation on time and you have provided the allocation after that.
Sandeep ji, there are multiple issues into that, because there are various shares which are pledged in favor of the clearing corporation, and even that has been sold. So that additional buffer generally the broker provides as a limit, so which has to be first unpledged, replaced, unpledged, and then unpledged. Then only the EPI can happen. And even in span reporting, the window is given for 4 days. Like, because the position is taken during the market time, EPI is done in the evening, and in span reporting within 4 days we have to report, and there is no penalty. So same thing we want it to be extended for this thing, which is the system which is already there, because in span we are already following the same thing.
Right. So sir, there are multiple requests for CC there. So maybe, you know, a real-time pledge, repledge, invoke request, and EPI success status request. So appreciate if you know, someone from CC can confirm if this can be happen, you know, on a real-time basis.
Yeah,
because you can generate you know, request for pledge closure EPI. You can do that, but some sort of, you know, confirmation should come from CC.
Yeah, because in case of pledge securities, we cannot even do the real-time EPI, because it has to undergo with a lot of other processes. So it can only be done, say, after market closes and by evening. So our request is, like, if same thing can be catered through reason code, then it would be very helpful for the client. Otherwise, client is going to suffer and will not get limit for which the collateral is already lying with the broker.
Varinderji, you have anything to say on this, Varinder Munsaganji?
No, I think the exchanges have expressed their opinion, which was a slight variation from what we heard in the previous webinar, at which point in time it was just that we need to allocate from our prop capital, but now there is a change or a delta variation to that. This will actually pose a big issue for the entire market ecosystem, because clients, when they sell and they are not able to buy, you will see a large number of problems, especially from the small retail customers as they come in. But okay, we will proceed with the webinar because there are other issues also, and maybe we will come to know some other aspects which were missed out in the first webinar. So Ajayji, please.
Varinderji, I would like to add here, like we are doing all this exercise to protect the client's money. It will be disservice to the client if we don't allow them to trade on the money lying with them. So even we can request CC to do it real time. I mean, the success can be given real time also. But will it help? Varinderji, over to you. If they give us the success at the real time, if I do API and they give the success.
So it has to come through some API, and that process will not be so smooth. The problem is CCs have already said that they have an hourly batch. So what happens is if a client sells at 10:01 and it is processed in the 11 o'clock batch, or maybe he sells at 10:15 and it is processed at 11:15 batch, the confirmation will come of the 12 o'clock batch by 12:30. So essentially a client who sells at 10:55 may not be able to buy till 12:30. I mean, unless the CCs are able to get from depository also this information real time, they also cannot publish it. So it's an entire ecosystem problem which has to be solved for before, we should actually migrate to a real time rather than an end of day allocation system. But I think let's take up the other issues. This is going to be very challenging for the market.
So the second point relates to the fund transfer through payment gateway. So in the earlier webinar, it has been clarified that even if the fund comes from the payment gateway provider on, say, T+1 day, it would be okay from the compliance point of view. The to-be point is like the various front office vendors have just shared the concept note, but they have not provided the software for even for testing. So how these things can be implemented in just a few days? So I think it requires deliberations from even the CC side, that even they can talk to various major front-end vendors, because without that the things cannot be implemented. And secondly, like in case of NCL, if we allocate the limit, it is overwrite. So there is no incremental or decremental allocation can be made, whereas in MCX it is only the incremental and decremental allocation which can be made. So we have discussed it with vendors. So both kind of APIs are required. Like it is that the override of the allocation and or the incremental decremental. So I think all the CCs should provide both kind of APIs, whether to override the allocation limit or increment or decrement it, because various systems would be doing things at the same point of time. It will not be just from the front office. Even there might be some fund which comes from the back office, and the brokers would develop their own systems. So, and both would be hitting to the allocation file. So any comment from even ICCL, NCL or MCX regarding the same?
Vaishali here. So typically, actually, in terms of API, already the APIs are being given. But Ajayji, I take note of your point, because I think the beauty of the whole solution is going to be in your statement of saying overwriting the existing APIs of increasing and decreasing. And we need to really handle this with care because this is completely again a new change for the market. And so we would like to first stabilize this. Let's not assume that people are not going to upload the first file in a correct and then they want to change it. But we strongly take note of this and we'll just see how we can technologically support this. So that is the response from ICCL.
Okay, thank
Madam,
you.
actually the API structure already has provision for increment decrement. And
True.
currently those fields are not being used in the API. You are just replacing the number. So the actual structure was designed for increment decrement, but the implementation currently doesn't cater for that. Maybe if you are not able to do it immediately, going forward you can do that.
So basically, we definitely I take note of this, Manchukani ji. The point is that we just want to give all the facilities step by step so that the market also settles down with that. And as we already have spoken, that many of the vendors are not even ready with that respect. More than happy to interact with the vendors in terms of how we can align with them and how we can help them. About this, I'm taking this as an action point and we'll come back.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So any take on this from even NCL or MCX?
There is another question which has come in from the YouTube audience, which says that, at present the BOD time is 8 a.m. And because we will have a larger number of records, is it possible for the CCs to start the BOD cycle before 8 a.m.? Specifically NCL and ICCL, because there the number of records are very large.
So Uzafa here, we will look into that. I told last week also, we are looking into that, exploring that requirement.
From MCX CCL side, our BOD ready by 7.
Ajay ji and Manchukani ji, can I make one point here, little bit just to be more clear?
Yeah.
Regarding that API overwriting. So basically, Manchukani ji, I just a little bit discussed it. And what is that? The existing API. Suppose somebody says the allocation is X 100. And now you say that X amount needs to be not 100, but 200. Okay. I'm just giving a very basic example.
Yes.
So now this, if you re-upload the file, the existing file will get overwritten. But if at all you say that I want to have an incremental of that only 50, then that's going to be confusing and that provision is as of now not there. But if you say overwriting to say that 100 needs to be overwritten with 150, this you can do it right now as well.
Yeah, it is there. It is there in NCL and ICL, but MCX is giving incremental and decremental.
So the problem why it is now become more important is that if we have multiple systems, for example, our NEFT RTGS check is coming from the back office, a payment gateway is coming from the front office. So both systems don't know what is the final updated value in a sense. So for them to upload an incremental number is far easier than uploading a cumulative number. Because for example, a client might have sent a RTGS, he might have given some money via the payment gateway. Now, what is the additional problem is we have to then make these two systems be in sync before we upload a revised number. If we could upload an incremental, each system could simply upload its incremental number and it will be easier.
Okay, so maybe we'll have to speak to the members because Manchukani ji, when we developed this, we had reached out to the members. Rather, as you know, none of the developments are done in isolation. We really always take into consideration because ultimately it needs to be used or usable for our members. So though I am new to the system, but definitely I get and have checked it up that this was the feedback taken and the development done. And if it is otherwise, we would like to check with few of the members, really if this is the case. Yeah.
But madam, the BOD time from ICCL side, what is the BOD time which you are looking at? NCL is looking to prepone, MCX is at 7 a.m. What is the time which you are looking at?
Vijeta.
Yeah, so Vijeta here. So presently at our end it is 8, but we are going to modify it to 7 a.m. BOD.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Ajay ji, next point, please.
So in the last meeting, like we have discussed that the fund release request from the CC So we requested to increase it at least till 7 p.m. Currently it is 6 p.m. in case of even NCL, and in case of even MCX, they are charging 10,000 rupees plus GST if we want the same day release. So if member wants to shift money from one clearing corporation to another clearing corporation, the money should be released and should be deposited. So the time should be increased and there should not be any charges. This is the request from our side.
Sir Vijayta, you're from ICCL front. I would just like to clarify that at our end, the allocation cutoff time is 8 p.m. presently.
No,
And,
of,
release timings presently, we are we have segment-wise release bifurcation. The list is 5:45, but in the upcoming days, we will accept releases till 6 or 6:30.
So, madam, our request would be, that, for example, NCL allows till 9 p.m. if you are taking a EOD request. So, for value date tomorrow, it is 6 p.m. But if I want to release on the same day, they accept request till 9 p.m. That's what they clarified to us last time. So, if you can, instead of 6:30, come to that timeline, because specifically when we have to move funds from there to say MCX, which is a separate CC, we face this challenge in the evening.
Okay, suggestion noted, sir.
Sure. Soundarajan ji, what is your take?
Yeah.
I mean, this concern is primarily of 10,000 charge also, which is
yes, that we will take it with the see our internally we discuss because the new changes is happening. People may want to transfer fund or take funds to other CCs. That case, we will discuss internally. We'll come back. As far as same day release, ours is 5:30. 5 o'clock. And if see, we have talked to banks. Banks, what they are saying is they have to receive everything by 7. They will release. Otherwise, they have a risk management and as well as they have their own internal approvals required. So they are not ready to do anything beyond 7.
Soundarajan ji, you are trading till 12. You accept ABC till 11:30 p.m. If you can accept money till 11:30, you should be able to give us till 11:30 as well.
See, right, we are ready to give. Only thing is we have written to RBI. RBI also instructed the banks. Banks are saying that we have own risk management as well as we have to decide on how much to invest. So they are interested in that. Okay, anyway, we are discussing with the bank. Once they agree, we will extend it to whatever best.
Other CCs are not trading at that hour, are able to process request till 8 p.m., 9 p.m. So there should be no reason why, if other CCs can process till 9 p.m., you should not be able to process till 9 p.m., especially since it is your clearing bankers. These are not random banks.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed.
So we would request you to ensure at least parity with other CCs, both in terms of timelines, process flows, and also to, in fact, you should have a higher, because you have a higher number of trading hours, you should be having a higher benchmark. But whatever they have achieved, I think there is no reason why you should not be able to push your banks for.
Yes, we will do it. See, 9 is slightly difficult, but 7:30 is 7:38. We can stretch.
So, sir, jitna kar sakte hain, at least try that first.
Yes.
Then we will come back to you again.
Yes.
Ajay ji, please continue.
Yeah. So next points relate to the settlement day. So it has been clarified that the pay-in payout of that day would be considered from the morning itself. So NCL was supposed to come out on the same. So this question is like the pay-in happens at say 10 o'clock and payout happens at 1 o'clock. So what about the T-1 margin? So CCs were in talks to take it from the morning itself. So we want a clarification from the CCs regarding the same.
So Josefa, do we have any update on this? Because you were under discussion.
Can you repeat this point, please? Again?
Yes, ma'am. I'll just clarify. So the point is that if on Monday we sell stock, on Tuesday margin is blocked, but say the pain is on Tuesday. So for the peak margin computation cycle of the first cycle, will you be calculating margin on the trades of T day on T plus day 1 morning, or you will be not including it for peak margin purposes only? Because what happens at 11, the pain gets done and that exposure is dropped.
Yes,
But
for peak
the
margin, it is yes.
First snapshot then poses a challenge. So for the first snapshot, will you be excluding the pain of that day, or you will not be excluding that?
For the first, I think snapshot, we will not be able to, because that is, yeah, that is what is the outstanding position as of that time will be taken actually.
So, madam, the typical problem is a member cannot have two funds. Supposing the client has bought 100 rupees stock and that has a 40 rupees margin. I don't receive 140 rupees from the customer. So 100 rupees I have to move out towards pain. And in that case, that 40 rupees I have to block from my own sources. And so essentially for the same trade, I am paying 140 rupees to the CC. At 10:30 a.m. in the morning, because I have already kept money aside for the pain, and you are also blocking 40 rupees of margin. So I am actually paying 140 rupees for 100 rupees worth of position.
And sometimes even the pain gets delayed.
Yeah, we are on.
So we understand your concern, but pursuant to the process which is set across the CCs, right now in the till whatever outstanding positions are there, margins are levied. So till the time if there is settlement delay also, and if at that point of time before that if there is any random snapshot, margins on due settlement does get populated. So we will discuss this amongst the CCs and we'll come up to a agreeable solution. We will update you on this, because CCs have to go with the same uniformity in this case.
Correct. NCL was, that's what NCL told us, that they will be taking up, they understand this is a problem and they'll be taking up and discussing this problem and trying to see if from a regulatory standpoint, if it is okay, they will try to accommodate.
Yeah,
exactly. So we have actually discussed this area. We will again meet up and discuss this. We will also take a regulatory review on this and we will update the forum.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So fourth point is like for the allocation purpose, the multiple APIs are required. Multiple channels are required, because front office would be talking differently and the back office would be talking differently. So NCL is providing 5 APIs login. So so we just want to know the status about MCX and ICCL regarding the same. So from five different connections, we can update the allocation amount.
So presently at ICCL, for a particular user ID, maximum 2-3 IPs we have registered for API, and we are working on enhancing this. So a circular to that effect, we will inform the market.
So, but can multiple user IDs be uploading? So via API, can I have 5 different users, even if they each have a separate IP? Can I have 5 users who are pushing in the information via API?
So as of now, it is, I think we are going with 2 users, but as I just suggested, we will just work on this and we will inform you.
Okay, ma'am.
So basically concerning the entire performance, the flow of transactions, we had registered 2-3 IPs max. So we have to just go back and check on this from safety performance point of view.
So the actual application is something like this. I have a back office which will also be pushing in data. I might have a Odin which is pushing in data. I might have a Omnisys which is pushing data. So since I have multiple front ends and back office as well, so I need, see, 5 is a number I think which most members can live with, like what NCL has created. 2 will be too much of a bottleneck. So we would actually request you to bring it up to 5 at least.
Noted, Mansukhanji, because actually we had expected this, so we had kept it instead of 1, 2, but now it is 5. We will look into it. This is an action point. This is not a discussion point.
Sure. Oh, thank you.
So the 5th point relates to the span margin, because for the peak allocation, the BOD margin percentage is concerned. is taken care into consideration. But our RMS system, like the front office RMS system, they works on the real-time span margin files. So if in the morning, say the margin percentage is say 25%, and in second or third snapshot, if the margin percentage reduces say to 20%, then the trading system would allow client to take more position. So it would like violate the allocation, because allocation would be done on the basis of the morning file, and because of the reducing span margin, the client would be able to take more position. So how to cater this requirement, if reason code can be provided to address this?
And just to clarify, this problem is typically more in the option segment. What happens is in the future, the percentage doesn't really change. But in the options, because the moment the underlying price moves, the risk arrays which are getting populated in the subsequent cycles use a different price benchmark. Accordingly, in options, this problem is far more severe. And if we don't monitor from the latest price and we use the BOD file in the front end, that can expose us to a much bigger risk, because we will not capture the price movement from the start of day price. And that is why we are requesting if there can be some kind of a reason code to be able to account for this difference.
This is Rowana here from ICCL. We will discuss this across CCs, and we will let the forum know on our final decision on this.
Sure.
So any comment from NCL regarding the same?
Ajay ji, Sijo here. Sorry, I was not audible for a long time. But here, I mean, what I see is that SEBI had taken the feedback from the members to levy BOD margins, because the earlier issue was the margins increased as well. So we have a case where the margins can increase or it can decrease. So there was always a concern that if it increases during the day, it will be very difficult for members to collect the additional margin from the clients. So to consider those elements, I think SEBI had taken the feedback from the members and arrived at a mechanism where the margin rates would not change for the day. So now again,
Siju, we agree, and it is there's no denying that we represented and we got it done. But the solution which you came out didn't solve the entire problem, because it created a new problem, and that new problem did not actually become as obvious in the earlier scenario when it was EOD reporting. But in intraday reporting, this problem will, come up much more often. And we understand you've tried to solve, and I am grateful that you solved 80% of the problem. But the 80% solution has created a new 20% problem. So we need to solve that as well.
okay, noted.
Yeah. And in a similar way, like certain clients do have the hedging position. So on the hedge position, the margin percentage is very, very less. But when they just roll over the position or unhedge the position, for a particular point of time, the margin increases. And if that is captured into the snapshot, it would be a reason for a penalty. So if same can be catered through some reason code, because it is for a few moments the position would be unhedged, and then it would be hedged.
The YouTube, a couple of questions have come in, which I think we need to take. So the point is that when is the first snapshot data after the pain being computed? So when you will compute the first morning cycle, till what time of EPI done you will account for it? For example, if I do an EPI 8:30 in the morning and your first snapshot is at 10 a.m., will that snapshot capture the 8:30 a.m. pain already done? This is the gist of the question which has come from YouTube. So any of the CCs can please confirm.
Sir, as far as the process is concerned, which is there from the depository, the API comes to us in batches, and whenever it comes, it gets updated, and the benefit of that API is provided. I understand that this is the same process across CC, so there is no hard cutoff time. I mean, if you have done the API by 8 o'clock, we can safely assume that it would be, the benefit would be given before 10 o'clock. So there is no hard cutoff because it comes in batches.
Yeah, so the question is precisely that, because typically the first file doesn't run before 10 a.m. But it's possible someday you might run the first file at 10:30 a.m. So if I have done the pane by 10 a.m., can I expect that in the 10:30 a.m. file it will get captured? What is the frequency of the batch which you get from the depository?
I mean, the batches, they come in 20 minutes. I guess I think it's different for both depositories. Of course, when the paying cycle starts at 10:30, the early paying, of course, will not take place. So that can be considered a hard cutoff time. But yeah, difficult to give an exact time as to till what time the API done would be considered before the paying.
So what members are seeking clarity is on that, I know that if I have by 10 a.m. I have completed the pane, the first snapshot file typically doesn't happen before 10:30. I can hopefully assume that, I will not get any margin blocked on that account in the 10:30 a.m. file. This is the kind of clarity which basically
since it is not real time, definitely there will be the time taken for the next batch and the time taken to process at CC's end. So there definitely will be a 20 to 30 minutes time gap at the least.
So a 30-minute TAT, can we presume that before, whenever the snapshot happens, 30 minutes before that, whatever has been completed as EPI will not get blocked in the peak
snapshot? Sir, that's a turnaround time, sir, but difficult to give a exact time frame. It's an average turnaround time.
See, from MCX CCL side, we are getting depository file every 1 hour, and the processing time 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes.
So, sir, then I think you should speed it up, because other CCs are doing it at a much faster pace.
Yeah, see, we are already spoken to NSDL as well as CDSL. CDSL is still, it takes 1 hour. Sometimes this NSDL 50 minutes or 1 hour. So we'll take it up with the depositories.
And from the ICCL side, any feedback on the kind of turnaround times we can see?
So it is 20 to 25 minutes processing time post we receive the data from the depository.
Okay. And at the same frequency, you upload the EPI benefit, because, for example, in question 1, we were asking that, after the EPI is completed, then we can allocate. So that frequency will also be similar in terms of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to clarify for members, because many questions are coming on YouTube, which are basically not very clear on this chronology of what is currently being discussed for EPI, what was discussed by NSE compliance also. So basically, what the regulator is suggesting is that if a client sells shares, till you complete the EPI of those securities, you cannot allocate 80% to him. For cash or F&O, that is a secondary issue, but you cannot allocate. This is the current interpretation of the rules as they understand. So a lot of members have got confused whether this is possible or not. So I'm just trying to reiterate what was already discussed in the webinar earlier.
Should I say exchange? Please,
so another point. So this is a major point related to the non-cash collateral. So ideally, the non-cash collateral, which is replaced in favor of clearing corporation, currently the final file comes by 11 p.m. So ideally, in the last meeting, we have been told that it can be provided real time. So we just want to know the status and if can it be provided through APIs, because currently the CC02 file provides and the files are available through NMAS. And can it be provided through API as well?
Sir, from NCL side, I mean, there is no further update to what we had discussed last time. There will be definitely we will try to work on this, but nothing concrete on yes as of yet.
And currently the files are provided to CM. No files are directly provided to trading members. So there would be a time lag between clearing member providing the information to the trading member. If the same can be provided directly to the trading member, so it would help trading members to do their work on the faster pace.
And from the ICCL side, if you could please clarify.
So are we discussing the end of day short allocation file, just to clarify? Or the pledge repledge?
Pledge repledge. We are discussing the benefit of repledge securities given to the client.
So whatever has been disseminated by the depository, till that time during the day we process all the requests.
Yeah, but there's a time lag because the final file.
Till 9:30, whatever we have received from the depository, all transaction data is processed on the very same day.
And Soundarajan ji, for MCX, can you clarify till what times securities received are updated in the file?
See, we are receiving file up to 9 from both repositories. So it takes another half an hour.
Okay.
Because even during the day, the pledge repledge things keeps on happening. So how much real time basis we can provide? So that would help even members to allocate limit to the clients. And if currently it is provided through the file structure, if the APIs can be given, so members can plan things in a better way so that the limits to the clients can be provided.
Last 8 o'clock.
See, NSDL file, last file we are getting 10:30, but in the case of CDSL, it's 8:30. Pledge repledge.
And what about the files provided to trading member directly instead of clearing member?
No, as of now we are giving only to clearing member, not to trading member, because pledge just only clearing member.
And another point which we discussed, like when the clients are pledging securities for all segment, so there is a sequence like by default it goes to the F&O and then the cash market and then the currency market. So can it be defined at the UCC level, like by default the benefit should be given to which segment?
Sir, as far as NCL is concerned, the fungibility of securities was only a subsequent facility to what we had earlier. So earlier you could mark a specific UCC to a specific segment. So that facility is still available. If you have clients who are only trading in a specific segment, you mark it with that segment, don't mark it as segment all.
No, the point is, most of the time the client may be trading in cash segment. Someday you might want to trade in F&O. That is why we want to pledge it as all segments, so that next time we don't need to go back to him for the pledge cycle. We get the OTP and so on and so forth.
In that case, you can use the transfer facility, that fungibility of security.
No. So the point which we were discussing last time, which you said you will explore, is that whether it is possible at UCC level, if the pledge comes for all segments, to for client A market in cash market and client B market in F&O.
No, I mean, if that is already there, sir. I mean, if you have a request for a client to be only to go for a specific segment, you can always market for that segment only.
That is what I'm trying to tell you. This is not what was the request. The request is when I pledge all segments, pledge happens all segments, but you give benefit in one segment by default across all customers. This is what happens presently.
So that is a facility if you want to keep it fungible. But if you have clients who do it in specific segment for certain days, then you can always do it for that client for that segment only.
Sir, we understand that our point submission is slightly different. Please appreciate the submission. Our submission is we want to accept fungible collateral from the customer, but all fungible collateral received from the customers, I think in NCL is by default pushed into the cash market segment.
F&O segment, sir.
Sorry,
in
the F&O segment. But what we want is, if I have 100 clients, I might have 60 clients whom I want by default to be pushed into cash market, and 40 clients I want by default to be pushed in F&O segment. This is our requirement.
Okay, sir. That I think that was noted, but I thought that alternative, that facility was available. But I got your point. That we'll note again.
And can ICCL clarify whether they have some functionality of this kind?
So we need to work on this client level, what you mentioned, client level fungibility option. Because right now member can select, by default it is the equity cash, which when we have given a facility to members where once they email us, the default segment can be changed as per their request. But what you mentioned about the client level fungibility, we need to review this at our end.
Okay, please take it as a feedback so that you can
Okay.
look at it going forward.
Even the fungibility benefits, like if the securities are shifted from one segment to another segment, there is a huge time gap between providing the benefit to the another segment. If the same can be reduced.
So currently, how much time, according to NCL, you will need if a client has pledged fungibly across segments and is currently by default allocated in F&O, I want to move to cash market, and I go into the CIM and change the segment, how much time will it take to reflect and allow the client to have a limit in the other segment?
Sir, earlier we used to have multiple batches, but then after that we have that facility where excess deposit in other segment was also considered towards short allocation. So basically the requirement diluted to that extent, and we have now only one batch which will allow you to transfer from one segment to other segment. That is at the end of the day.
Sir, I understand there is no penalty because of the exemption, but the problem is working capital is blocked. And so if it happens once a day, members' working capital is blocked for the full day. And
sir, this will see multiple batches will definitely create a more cascading effect for other processes as well. So in order to have a better efficiency, and the fact that now you can plan it more better, we had this one batch at the end of the day, and your excess deposit is concerned. So the major concern of having caught for penalty is also avoided.
But our working capital is blocked. So if the batches can be increased at least from once a day to an hourly cycle, it will let the working capital flow in a more efficient manner. And perhaps ICCL can also clarify what is the process at their end.
Mansukha ji, at ICCL real time you can transfer if your securities repledged are with all segment indicator, then at client level you can transfer from one segment to another on real time basis.
Okay, so that benefit moves real time across segments.
Yeah, it is there at ICCL.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
And like this information is available currently through NMAS CSV file. So can it be provided through API as well, so CJO?
Sir, we will have to work on it, sir, to get this on API. We will work on
any timeline, any roadmap is there?
Sir, sir, to my knowledge, nothing is concrete that I can give you a timeline, but we'll surely come back on this.
Okay. So another point is like if the securities are replaced to the clearing corporation, and because of scrip wise limit, the less limit is provided against the scrip, then if the member utilized that limit, so can same be provided as a reason code? So if the say for example, client has pledged for say 10 lakh rupees and CC is providing just 3 lakh rupees against that because of the scrip price limit. So that 7 lakh limit, if client utilizes, and same can be uploaded as a reason code. So there should not be any penalty. So can we work around regarding the same?
Sir, the reason codes which are eligible are already in public domain. This is not one of those reasons. This could have been, I mean, this was deliberated earlier also. So I don't know whether this can be incorporated, but we'll take it as a feedback.
Okay. So thank you everyone. So in the last, I would like to say just one thing, because I think most of the front office vendors and back office vendors are not ready currently. So I think a lot of work has to be done still. So the penalty timing should be increased at least by 1 or 2 months, so that all and even the clearing corporation, we can have a joint meeting with the front office and back office vendors. So how and when they are going to provide all the facilities.
Yeah. So we have written to SEBI also on this, that initially there should not be any penalty. We have requested for 2 months. Let us see what kind of, because the readiness and preparedness is not there, as Ajay ji has just mentioned, on the front side and the back end also. We have back end, back office people also, and they have told us that they are not ready with the way they should be, and let us see. Ashok ji is there, our mentor.
Just one point, Vadvaji. There are some questions which have come online, which have been addressed or answered, most of them. But if any member has any questions, because some of those questions are very basic and which are otherwise clear from the circular, we have not taken up. If any member has any query, they can send to the secretariat, and the secretariat will arrange for a response to those balance queries.
Yeah. So we have Ashok ji, our mentor, the chairman of GLOBE. Ashok ji, you have any issue, any point you want to say?
No, thank you. I think thanks to all the clearing corporation and their representative. Only thing is, maybe we need waiver of penalty for some time, maybe 2 months, because the idea is to implement the system and make sure that everybody is prepared and complies the things. And I don't think the idea is to penalize the members unnecessarily. So I think that is something which the CC should take up with SEBI, and we in turn will also take up with SEBI. And 1st February is a budget day. So I think we should also keep that in mind, that it is more important that the market is not disturbed on the budget day.
So Ashok ji, we got to know that they are flexible for 1 day. I think let us see what positive comes out from the SEBI. They are okay with 2 weeks deferment also. And Shiv Kumar ji is also with us. Shiv Kumar ji, you have any doubt, any issue which you want to be addressed or raise here? Shiv Kumar ji. So I think we have lost him. At the end, any closing remarks by the CCs? Renu ma'am, you want to say something on today's discussion and what you expect from members, and we want to be on the right side of the law. all the time, and for this circular also. Anything you want to say, Renu ma'am?
Yeah. I have only one actually request to all the members. We have been of late receiving actually a lot of incorrect submission. And I have seen that in past like 1 or 2 months, in lot of cases actually higher penalties are being levied. So I would actually request members to see the submissions, whether it is a segregation submission or it is holding or cash and cash equivalent. The submissions are made correct, because unnecessarily we are getting alerts through our online system, because all members know that by using these submissions we are running creditors availability check, margin, settlement, and these are large scale systems. And if we run these alerts on a daily basis or a weekly basis, and every week if 700 800 members come in a alert, and ultimately alert is getting closed because of incorrect reporting, it's a problem for us also and for members also. And in fact, what we were discussing internally, you know that we have changed the format of this submission, which is going to CC. Keeping in mind that once this submission we take for these online systems, which we will be taking from next week, we close the cash and cash equivalent, so that it is only one submission. And wherever members are making submission, it should be a correct submission to avoid any false positive alerts to be generated. So just have a look when you are submitting, although we are in also discussion with back office vendors, so that implementation of logics, understanding of the requirement is given to them directly, instead of each member looking at the requirement and implementing it separately. So my urge, please make the submissions correct to all the members to not only avoid penalties, but this will also reduce unnecessarily false positive alerts also generation.
Thank you. Vishali ma'am, you have.
Yeah. So I think I can't agree, but to agree with what Renuka said. And this, just to add to that, this is again a key change. And we all need to move together in terms of implementing this change. While we have taken note of the few action points and few discussion points, please feel free to connect to us, especially the vendor based for the readiness and all that, because we have really very few days left as per the SEBI circular. So let's make this as compatible as possible. On the suggestions front, of course, I think though I mentioned this and I'm repeating it again here, so the intention is not to go out in full, the majority of the members' feedback has been received and we have done some development. While whatever the suggestions, we really need to go back to the other set of members and see to it that everybody is acceptable to that. And then we will be taking it up and definitely due notices will be issued. So I think that's all the concluding remarks from ICCL.
Thank you. Thank you. So we are going to have one more session on next Tuesday. Possibly if there are issues, please mail it to us. We'll take it with the CCs and concerned persons. And we'll be going to SEBI also for any suggestions if they come from the member side. So we have with us our chairman from the South, Mr. Satish Kumar Arya. So I'll request him to please give formal vote of thanks to the participants and the panelists. Satish ji. You are on mute, Satish ji.
Thank you very much, Narendra sir. On behalf of the CPI, I will thank all the entire team of the NSC, MCX, NSCCL, all, Madam Renu, Sondarajan ji, Vaisali ji, Ajefa ji, Rohana ji, Rijo ji, all, and from the CPI, our mentor Ashok ji, our President Narendra ji, and one Virender Man Sukhani ji, and especially Ajay ji, for making it very clear. And if I have forgotten any name, I'll request you that not to feel in that way. But my point is, I had noted down many points and all has been covered. It was really detailedly covered and very nicely explained. And I thank one and all for the entire this exercise has been done. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
You are telling that what are thanks, huh?